Space was silent, cold. Endless, in that silence, drifted a broken escape pod, turning slowly among the stars. The glass was cracked, the metal burned, and inside, a lone human soldier clung to life. His breath was shallow. Blood floated in tiny red drops across the cabin, glimmering like stars. His eyes flickered open only for seconds at a time. He had been left behind. Or so he thought. Far away, an alien patrol ship scanned the sector. Its crew were from the Zell, a cautious and calculating species. Their sensors caught the faint signal of the dying pod. The captain frowned. Debris, one officer said. No, wait. Life signs, the sensor tech replied. A silence fell across the bridge. The word life signs meant trouble. Everyone knew what that could mean. It's a human, the captain said slowly, reading the signature. His 4 eyes narrowed. One of them. The crew shifted uneasily. For decades, rumors about humanity had spread across the galaxy. Stories whispered in bars, carried by smugglers, spoken like ghost tales. Humans were said to be reckless, unpredictable, impossible to control. Some races called them Deathworlders. Others swore humanity was extinct. The Council had forbidden all contact, labeling Earth a forbidden world. And now, one of those forbidden beings was here, alone, weak, dying. The captain's second gain hissed. We should leave it. If the Council finds out we interfered, but the youngest officer, a female Zell with pale silver skin, leaned forward. Her voice trembled. He will die without us. He is alive. We can't just turn away. The bridge grew tense. Logic clashed with instinct. Fear fought against compassion. To help a human was to risk war. But to let him die was something else. The captain closed his eyes. Finally, he gave the order. Bring him aboard. The pod was hauled into the docking bay. When the doors opened, the crew gasped. The human was tall, even injured, his muscles tight under a shredded uniform. Strange scars ran down his arms. His eyes, though weak-burned with a fire none of them had ever seen in any other species. Medics rushed to stabilize him. Machines beeped. His breathing steadied, but just barely. As they worked, the human suddenly gripped the medic's wrist with surprising strength. His voice was raw, broken, but filled with warning. Earth. He whispered, Earth remembers. Then he went still. The Zell officers looked at each other, unsettled. His words carried weight they didn't understand. News spread through the ship quickly. They had saved a human. Some crew were terrified. Others were fascinated. They whispered in the halls. What would Earth do if they learned of this? In the captain's ready room, the debate grew fierce. This was a mistake, one officer barked. If the Council discovers this, we will be punished, another argued. Or worse, if Earth discovers this, we could be destroyed. But the silver-skinned officer spoke softly. Maybe. Maybe he is just one man. What harm could one human bring? The captain listened, but said nothing. His mind replayed the human's words. Earth remembers. What did it mean? Hours later, the human stirred again. His eyes opened, clearer this time. The silver-skinned officer was by his side, watching. He tried to sit, but pain forced him back down. Why? Why help me? He asked, his voice rough. You would have died, she answered simply. The human studied her, his gaze sharp despite his weakness. Then you've doomed yourselves, her heart raced. Why? He coughed, blood staining his lips, but still he managed a grim smile. Because humanity never forgets, and we never forgive. Before she could respond, alarms suddenly screamed through the ship. Red lights flashed across the halls. Sirens echoed. The crew ran to their stations in panic. The captain's voice thundered over comms, unknown warships detected. Sector scan shows massive energy signatures closing fast. The rescued human tried to rise again, his eyes filled with dread. They're here, he whispered. Earth has come, the patrol ship's viewport filled with light. At first, only faint glimmers appeared, like sparks against the black. But then shadows. Colossal shadows, stretching across the void. Engines lit up the dark like suns being born. Dozens dash no. Hundreds of massive warships emerged from hyperspace. Black steel, sharp and brutal, glowing with the insignia of Earth. Human fleets. The Zell crew froze in horror. These were not scouts, not merchants. This was an armada, on every channel, across every frequency. The same deep human voice spoke one simple line: return our soldier, or face Earth. The bridge fell silent. Every officer stared at the human lying on the med-bed. The alien captain realized the truth. Saving this one man had not saved a life. It had awakened an empire. Cliffhanger, end of part 1. The alarms grew louder. The human fleets moved closer, weapons armed. The alien crew stood frozen between mercy and destruction, realizing they had just become the center of the galaxy's greatest storm. The alien council chamber was alive with noise. Voices clashed, echoing across the great hall built from crystal and steel. The chamber was shaped like a ring, with delegates of dozens of species seated in tiers, all staring toward the center where a trembling Zell envoy stood. The envoy had just delivered the unthinkable. Human fleets have entered the border. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the silence cracked like glass. Impossible, shouted a core delegate, his insect wings rattling with rage. Humans have no fleets. They are primitives. Earth is a wasteland. Old myths, another snarled. Stories told to frighten children, but others did not laugh. Several delegates leaned forward, faces pale. If the rumors are true, one whispered, then humanity has been hiding its strength for centuries. The council leader raised a hand, silencing the chamber. His many eyes blinked slowly. We will hear everything. Tell us again what you saw. The Zell envoy swallowed hard. We found a human soldier, alone. We brought him aboard. He survived. And then, the sky filled with their warships. They demanded his return. Gasps swept through the chamber. Screens lit up with images captured from the Zell patrol ship. Grainy footage, but clear enough. Colossal human dreadnoughts hung in space like dark mountains. Their engines burned blue fire. Their weapons hummed with restrained power. Some delegates mocked the images as tricks, but others could not look away. Meanwhile, aboard the Zell ship, the human soldier stirred again. His body was weak, but his eyes burned with life. The silver-skinned officer stayed near his side, her fear hidden beneath calm words. They say your kind is weak, she whispered. They say Earth was broken long ago. The human's laugh was harsh, painful. That's what they wanted you to believe. But Earth never sleeps. We never forgive. He leaned closer, his voice dropping. You saved me. And because of that, you've brought the fleets of Earth to your door. She shivered. Why would they come for one man? His answer was simple, chilling. Because we are one people. One harmed, all harmed. One saved, all answer. The Zell captain stood on the bridge, staring out at the vast human fleet that surrounded them. The dreadnought nearest their ship was so large it blocked half the stars. Its hull covered in strange glowing patterns. A voice boomed through every frequency once more. Return our soldier, or Earth will come for all of you. The crew trembled. No one dared move. The captain finally spoke. Send a message to the council. Tell them what we face, and prepare a response. But before the message could be sent, something happened. The human fleets did not fire. They did not attack. Instead, their ships shifted into position, forming a vast wall. Boxing in the Zell ship like prey caught in a hunter's trap. Why are they waiting? One officer whispered. The human soldier, listening from the medbay, answered with a grim smile. They want the galaxy to see. They want everyone to know what happens when one of us is touched. Back in the council chamber, panic was spreading. Reports poured in from outer sectors. Human signals detected. Human ships sighted. Colonies whispering of Earth's vengeance. The leader slammed his staff against the floor, silencing the chaos. This is a test of our unity. If humanity believes it can rise, we must crush it before fear spreads. But another delegate shouted, "Crush them? Did you not see the recordings? Their ships make ours look like toys." Debates grew louder. Some demanded to hand the human back. Others said to prepare war. In the corner of the chamber, an old scholar whispered words that made nearby delegates shiver. "This is the prophecy, the return of the Deathworlders." On the Zell ship, the human soldier sat upright despite his wounds. His voice carried across the med bay like steel. "You don't understand. Earth's fleets. They're not here to negotiate. They're here to remind you," the silver-skinned officer asked softly. "Remind us of what?" His eyes gleamed, hard as stone. "That Earth was never weak, that humanity never forgets, and that you should have left me to die." Before she could respond, the ship's alarms screamed again. The Zell captain turned to his officers. "Report. Multiple new contacts," the sensor tech cried. "Alien fleets approaching fast. Not human. Our own council ships." On the main screen, the void filled with hundreds of alien warships, cruisers, carriers, dreadnoughts, all painted with the banners of the council. The crew gasped. Their own people had arrived to challenge Earth. But as the fleets closed in, another transmission cut across every channel. It wasn't from the Zell or the council. It came from the human dreadnought. A face appeared on, Admiral of Earth, stern, cold, unshaken. His voice echoed like thunder. "You took one of ours. Now you stand at the edge of war. Decide quickly. Return him, or Earth strikes back." The chamber on the alien homeworld went silent as the message spread across the stars. Two fleets now faced each other, the Council's proud warships on one side, and the silent, unyielding Armada of Earth on the other. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the first shot to decide the fate of worlds. The void was never still. Even in silence, the stars seemed to tremble as shadows moved across them, shadows far too vast to be natural. On the Zell patrol ship, every eye was locked on the main screen. At first, only the faint silhouettes of human warships appeared, dark against the scattered starlight. But as the fleets drifted closer, their size became undeniable. They're enormous," whispered the sensor tech. One dreadnought filled half the screen, its armored hull bristling with weapons that glowed faintly, like dormant volcanoes waiting to erupt. Smaller frigates and destroyers swarmed around it like hunting wolves. Disciplined and silent, the Zell captain's throat tightened. He had fought wars before. He had seen great fleets rise and fall, but never had he seen anything like this. "This is no expedition," he murmured. "This is judgment." Across the med bay, the rescued human pushed himself upright again, sweat dripping down his face. His wounds hadn't healed, but his voice was stronger now. "You're seeing what most of the galaxy never believed in," he said. "The Earth fleet. We were hidden, waiting, preparing." The silver-skinned officer, standing close, whispered, "Why? Why hide such power?" The human's gaze turned cold. "Because we wanted you all to forget us. But you didn't. You hunted us. You called us monsters. So we built shadows in silence. Now, those shadows come to light. The alien council watched the same transmissions from afar. Holographic screens filled the chamber with ghostly images of Earth's dreadnoughts. The delegates fell quiet. The laughter from before was gone. One delegate whispered, "Those ships. They are larger than cities." Another trembled. "Their weapons output? Our strongest shields would last seconds, maybe less." But the core delegate hissed in defiance. "They are still only one species. If we unite, we can crush them." The council leader's eyes darkened. "And if we are wrong? If the legends of humanity are true, then we may doom us all." On the Zell ship's bridge, the tension was unbearable. The human admiral's message still echoed across the comms. "Return our soldier, or Earth strikes back," one officer muttered. Maybe we should surrender him. Hand him over before it's too late." The silver-skinned officer turned sharply. "He is not a prisoner. We saved him. We chose life over death. Will we now betray that choice? The captain's eyes flicked to the human on the medbay screen. He could see the fire in the man's expression. Even half dead, the human radiated a strength no Zell could match. "Captain," the second in command said in a low voice, "you know the truth. It doesn't matter what we do. Earth has already decided." Suddenly, the void outside shifted. From the darkness, a colossal shape emerged, a human dreadnought unlike the others. It dwarfed even the largest council carriers. A mountain of black steel and glowing blue light, the crew froze in awe and terror. The ship's sheer presence seemed to bend the stars around it. Its engines roared like a distant storm, and etched along its hull were markings none of the Zell could understand. Except for one word painted in white letters across the bow: Titan. The human soldier looked at the image and closed his eyes. "So they sent her?" The silver-skinned officer asked softly. "What is it?" "The Titan," he whispered. "One of Earth's first fleet dreadnoughts. If she's here, this isn't a rescue. This is a warning to the galaxy." Inside the alien council chamber, panic spread again as the Titan's image was broadcast. Delegates shouted over each other, their voices shrill with fear. Impossible. No ship that size could exist. How did humanity build this in secret? Do you not see? If this is only one, how many more do they hide? The council leader struck his staff again. "Enough. We must decide, fight or yield." But before a decision could be made, the chamber's lights flickered. A new transmission forced itself into their systems untraceable. It's unstoppable. The face of the human admiral appeared once more. This time, his voice was colder, harder. "You thought us extinct. You called us myths. Now, you will remember. Return him, or face humanity unleashed." On the Zell ship, the crew could barely breathe as the Titan's weapons lit up rows of cannons and railguns charging, missile bays opening, energy surging along its spine. The human soldier sat straighter, his eyes burning. "It begins," he said. The captain's voice shook. "It begins."
"What begins?"
The human turned toward the screen, where the Titan loomed larger with every passing second. His words were quiet, but every soul aboard felt them like thunder. The war humanity promised. The one you thought would never come. The Titan's main cannon glowed brighter than a star, targeting the council fleets. The void seemed to tremble under its power. Every being in the galaxy held their breath because if it fired, nothing would ever be the same again. The void burned with silence. All across the Zell patrol ship, officers and crews stared in frozen terror at the Titan, its massive hull glowing like a black star. Rows of weapons shimmered with restrained energy, the power so immense that even the void itself seemed smaller in its presence then. Without warning, every screen aboard the Zell ship flickered. Every frequency, every comms channel, every signal in the sector was overridden. And then, the face appeared, a human admiral, stern, stone-faced. His uniform was dark, adorned with glowing emblems of Earth. Behind him stretched the vast war room of a human dreadnought, maps of stars, symbols of fleets, and shadows of officers waiting in silence. When he spoke, his voice cut through space like a blade. "You touched one of ours. You took what is ours. And you thought humanity would forget." His eyes swept the camera as if staring into every soul. "Watching, we do not forget." On the Zell ship, the crew trembled. Some looked away. Others could not. The rescued human sat upright in his medbed, his jaw clenched, eyes burning with pride. The silver-skinned officer whispered, "He speaks for all of you." The soldier nodded slowly. "No, he speaks for more. He speaks for every single one of us." The alien council chamber was silent as the broadcast reached them. Delegates who had mocked humanity hours before now sat pale, their voices stolen. The Admiral's message was not just a warning, it was a sentence. Across colonies, stations, and ships, billions of aliens watched in horror as the transmission spread. Unstoppable, unstoppable. No encryption could block it. No technology could silence it. The admiral continued. Know this. We did not seek war. We sought only to live. To rebuild. To remember our dead in silence. But you forced our hand. He leaned closer. His voice dropped, heavy, deliberate. One harmed. All harmed. One saved. All answered. The Titan's weapons flared again, illuminating the fleets like dawn breaking. Entire alien armadas drifted in unease, their captains whispering orders. Too afraid to strike first, on the Zell ship's bridge, panic rose. Officers pleaded with the captain. Give him back. Send the human back. Maybe they'll spare us if we return him. But the captain's voice broke with despair. Do you not see? It doesn't matter now. Earth has already marked us. We are their proof to the galaxy. The human soldier appeared on the screen from the medbay, his voice raspy but strong. He's right. They will not strike unless you force them. But no, this Earth doesn't make empty threats. You gave me life. That act cannot be undone. And for that, the fleets will not leave until every world hears the message. Humanity is not weak. Humanity is not gone. Back in the council chamber, chaos returned. They dare threaten the galaxy? They are outnumbered. No. Look at their ships. Look at their weapons. Numbers mean nothing. The council leader's voice thundered. We must not bow. If we yield to humanity now, the galaxy will follow them. We will lose control. But another voice broke through, trembling yet clear. Perhaps control was never ours to begin with. The admiral's image sharpened. His eyes seemed to pierce through time itself. Decide. Return him. Or Earth comes. The feed ended with silence. Leaving the galaxy shaking in fear, the Zell ship floated still. Trapped between two walls of fire, the Council's own fleets, and the endless armada of Earth. The silver-skinned officer looked at the human soldier. Why? Why go so far for one life? The human leaned back, his eyes shadowed. Because every human life is all of us. One falls, all rise. One saved. He gave her a small, grim smile. And Earth's fleets strike back. Suddenly, alarms screamed once more. The Titan's massive cannon hummed, brighter than before. But this time, it wasn't aimed at the Zell ship. Targeting. The sensor officer gasped. The council fleets. The bridge fell into panic. The human soldier's eyes widened. They're not here for you anymore, he said, his voice filled with dark certainty. They're here for them. The Titan's energy swelled, its cannon glowing brighter than a sun. Across the void, the council fleet scrambled, shields rising, weapons charging. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath because when that cannon fired, it would decide who ruled the galaxy. The stars were no longer silent. They pulsed with the heat of war. The Titan's massive cannon glowed brighter, its energy humming across the void like a heartbeat. Every alien sensor locked onto it, reading power levels beyond comprehension. The Council's fleet shivered in formation, thousands of ships readying weapons. But none daring to fire first. On the Zell patrol ship, the bridge was chaos. They're charging their weapons. Shields at maximum. We'll be caught in the crossfire. The captain gripped the railing, his voice hoarse. Hold your ground. We move, they'll destroy us anyway. In the medbay, the rescued human soldier leaned forward despite his wounds. His eyes glowed with grim certainty. This is it. The first engagement. They'll strike to prove their word, the silver-skinned officer asked, her voice shaking, but who will they strike first? He stared at the screen where the Titan loomed like a god. The Council. Always the Council. Far across the galaxy, the alien council chamber erupted in panic. Delegates shouted orders into coms. Commanders scrambled. Fleets prepared for the impossible. One delegate screamed, "Fire first." Overwhelm them before they unleash their weapons. Another shouted, "No. Wait if we fire. We give them reason." The council leader's voice cut through the chaos. Humanity has no reason. They came here already prepared to destroy us. Fire. And then it began. The Council fleets lit up the void with the first strike. Thousands of plasma beams and railgun slugs streaked across the darkness toward the Titan. The entire void seemed to glow with their fury. The Zell crew gasped. Even the silver-skinned officer whispered, "No ship could survive that." But the human soldier only smiled bitterly. "You don't know the Titan?" The Council's attack slammed into the massive dreadnought. Explosions rippled across its shields, a storm of fire and fury. For a moment, it seemed swallowed by light. The crew held their breath. Then the light faded. The Titan still stood. Its shields shimmered, cracked but unbroken. Smoke and plasma drifted away, revealing its colossal frame. Its engines burned hotter, brighter, and then it answered. From the Titan's hull, dozens of railguns ignited. Missiles launched in swarms, glowing like fireflies. Energy beams cut across the void, precise and merciless. The first Council cruiser vanished in a single blast. One shot, gone. A second followed, torn apart in silence. Debris scattering like sparks. The alien Council chamber filled with horrified screams as live feeds showed their proudest ships shredded like paper. The human soldier's voice was low, steady. Now they see. Now they understand. But it wasn't just the Titan behind it. Earth's Armada moved as one. Hundreds of warships advanced, formations tight, weapons singing. They didn't fire wildly. They struck with cold precision. Each target chosen, each target chosen. Alien destroyers exploded in bursts of light. Carriers tried to retreat, but human frigates outflanked them with impossible speed. Every move was practiced, rehearsed, unstoppable. On the Zell ship, officers stared in disbelief. This is slaughter. It's not war, another whispered. It's execution. The Council fleets tried to push back. Fighters swarmed like angry insects, hurling themselves against human ships. For a moment, the void turned into a storm of fire and metal. But then, Titan fired its main cannon. The blast was blinding, brighter than a star. A beam of energy ripped across space, slicing through an entire line of Council battleships in one strike. 5 ships gone in an instant. Their wreckage drifted like ashes in the wind. The void fell silent again. Silent. Except for the screams echoing in alien command channels, the alien Council chamber was chaos. Some shouted to retreat. Others demanded more ships. The leader slammed his staff against the floor. "No, we cannot retreat. If we flee now, the galaxy will bow to humanity forever." But the delegates were no longer listening. Fear had cracked their unity. On the Zell ship, the human soldier looked at the silver-skinned officer. His voice was heavy with sorrow and pride. "This is what you chose when you saved me. You lit the spark. And now, Earth burns the galaxy to remind them who we are." The officer's voice trembled. "But why? Why? For just one man?" The human's eyes darkened. "Because we are not just men. We are humanity. We are one, and one life means all." Suddenly, alarms screamed again across the Zell ship. "New contacts," the sensor tech cried. The captain's voice shook. "More Council reinforcements?" The officer's hands froze over the controls. "No, not Council. Another fleet. Unknown signatures." On the main screen, fresh warships appeared from hyperspace. Sleek, alien, yet not bearing the Council's banner. Their weapons powered up, but not at Earth. The crew gasped. They're firing. At the Council! The void filled with chaos as a third fleet joined the battle, striking the Council from behind. The galaxy's balance shattered in an instant. Earth was no longer alone, and the war had only just begun. The battlefield burned. Wreckage floated among the Stars Council warships split in half, human missiles still glowing in their hulls, drifting bodies lost in silence. But through the chaos, something new appeared. A third fleet. They emerged from hyperspace like a storm, ships sleek and sharp, banners glowing with colors the Zell crew had never seen. Their weapons came alive instantly, but not against Earth. They struck the Council, Council destroyers exploded under their fire. Carriers burned. Panic filled alien channels. On the Zell patrol ship, the crew gaped at the screen. Impossible. Another empire? Why fight with the humans? The captain's voice was low, stunned, because they've chosen. They've chosen survival. In the medbay, the rescued human soldier pushed himself upright, refusing to lie down anymore. His eyes burned with grim understanding. This is what humanity does, he said. We don't just fight. We inspire. Others see us, and they remember what it means to stand. The silver-skinned officer whispered, "But why risk everything for you?" "For one man," his voice was heavy, "because the Council doesn't understand us. They think in species, in numbers, in power. Humanity thinks in bonds. You save one of us. You've saved us all." Across the galaxy, the council chamber was collapsing into madness. Delegates shouted, their voices echoing against crystal walls. "They've betrayed us. Whole fleets are joining the humans. We must crush them before more races turn." The council leaders' many eyes flashed with fury. Weak allies fall to humanity's lies, but we will not yield. Yet even as he spoke, live feeds showed smaller empires sending transmissions of allegiance to Earth. On backwater worlds, banners of humanity were being painted on walls. Soldiers from younger species raised their fists to the sky, declaring solidarity. Fear spread. Yes, but so did hope. Back in the void, the Titan moved forward. Massive engines pushing it like a continent sliding through the stars. Its main cannon fired again one beam. One strike, and a council battleship shattered into nothing. Human warships advanced in tight formations, side by side with the mysterious new fleet that had joined them. Together, they pushed the council back. On the Zell ship, an officer whispered, "They are uniting." One by one, they're choosing humanity's side. The captain shook his head slowly. No, they're not choosing humanity. They're choosing survival. Because humanity has shown them the price of silence. Inside the medbay, the soldier closed his eyes, remembering. "I was there," he murmured. "I saw Earth rise again. I was part of the hidden fleet. We prepared for this day. We knew the council would come again, sooner or later. And when they did, we promised we would never be alone again." The silver-skinned officer leaned closer. "But what are you really? You speak like more than a soldier." He looked at her, a shadow in his gaze. "Because I'm not just a soldier. I carry the codes. The keys to awaken what humanity has hidden." Her breath caught. "What kind of codes?" He answered softly, chillingly. "The ones that call every fleet. Every armada. Every weapon Earth has ever built." The Zell captain received new sensor readings and went pale. More signatures? Not Council. Not the Allies. Something else. Something big. The crew turned to the main screen. Far beyond the Titan, new contacts appeared, colossal human dreadnoughts, drifting silent, waiting in the void. The soldier's voice hardened. "They've been waiting for me. My return activates them. And when they awaken..." The silver-skinned officer finished his sentence in a whisper. "The galaxy will burn." Back in the council chamber, terror grew. Delegates who once mocked humanity now shouted for surrender. Others screamed for vengeance. Unity fractured, their empire splitting apart before their very eyes. One delegate cried, "If we don't stand together, the council is finished." Another shouted, "It already is finished. Look at the fleets joining Earth." The council leader slammed his staff so hard, the crystal floor cracked. "Then it is extinction. Better to die than kneel before Deathworlders?" But his words no longer carried strength. Fear had already claimed the chamber. On the battlefield, silence fell for a moment. Human ships and their new allies held the line. The council's fleets hesitated, battered, and broken. Their commanders divided. On the Zell ship, the silver-skinned officer whispered, "This is it. This is the choice, isn't it? Unity or extinction." The human soldier's eyes gleamed. "And the galaxy has already chosen." Suddenly, The Titan's lights blazed brighter than ever. Its engines roared, its weapons surged, but the energy wasn't aimed at the Council fleets this time. The sensors screamed. "Captain, the Titan. It's signaling the hidden dreadnoughts." The crew turned pale as the dark shapes in the void came alive, one by one. Lights flared. Engines ignited. Thousands of massive human warships awakened from silence. Rising like giants from the abyss, the stars filled with fire as Earth's true armada revealed itself at last. The galaxy trembled not just at the Council's downfall, but at the realization that humanity's fleets had only just begun to move. The void burned with new stars, stars made not of fire, but of engines. Across the battlefield, thousands of human warships lit up as they awakened from centuries of silence. Their lights blazed like constellations being born, stretching across the black until the sky itself seemed filled with Earth's fire. On the Zell patrol ship, the crew watched in stunned silence. No one spoke. No one moved. "Impossible," whispered the silver-skinned officer. "So many, too many." The human soldier leaned forward, his eyes fierce, his voice steady now. "You've only seen the surface. This is what Earth built in silence. While the galaxy forgot us, we prepared." "Always prepared," the captain turned sharply. "You knew? You knew this would happen if we saved you." The soldier nodded once. "Yes." A heavy silence filled the bridge. Every officer stared at him in disbelief. The youngest whispered then, "Who are you really?" For the first time, the soldier's expression shifted. Not anger, not grief, but something heavier. A burden carried too long. "My name is Commander Elias Kale, 1st Fleet Operations. Coded Sentinel of the Titan Protocol." The crew froze. Even the captain's hands trembled on the rail. The Titan Protocol. That's a myth. A legend whispered to frightened cadets. Kale's gaze was cold. "No, it's real. It's what you're seeing right now. Hidden fleets, locked away in silence, waiting for the signal, waiting for me." The silver-skinned officer's heart pounded. "You're not just a soldier." "No." Kale's voice dropped to a whisper. "I am the key. The fail-safe. When the galaxy came again to break us, I was sent to die or be found. If captured, if saved, my codes would awaken the Armada." The bridge fell deathly silent. "You were bait," the captain said slowly, horror in his voice. Kale's jaw tightened. "A trap. Yes, but also a promise. Humanity swore never again to stand alone. And now, every ship you see is here because of me." Far away in the alien council chamber, the truth spread like wildfire. Intercepted transmissions confirmed it. The rescued human carried activation codes. The fleets were not just symbols, they were weapons built for war. Delegates screamed at one another. "They planned this for centuries. We are finished. No, if we strike now, before all the fleets assemble." But their voices were hollow. The recordings of Kale's revelation shook them to their bones. Humanity had not been weak. They had been patient. Back on the battlefield, the newly awakened dreadnoughts moved into formation around the Titan. Their hulls gleamed with fresh fire, weapons powering up in perfect sync. The Council fleets began to scatter, commanders breaking rank in fear. Some tried to flee. Others shouted for surrender. The unity of the mighty Council was cracking with every second. The silver-skinned officer whispered, "You were the storm they feared?" "Not a soldier. A signal." Kale looked at her, his expression heavy but unyielding. "No, I was the reminder. The galaxy forgot Earth, but you don't forget a death world." Suddenly, comes on the Zell ship, lit up with a new transmission. A human officer, crisp and commanding, filled the screen. "Sentinel Kale, confirmation received. Armada protocols unlocked. Awaiting your command." The bridge froze. Every Zell officer turned slowly toward him. Kale rose, standing tall despite his wounds, his shadow stretching long across the floor. "Commander," the captain whispered. "What are you about to do?" Kale's voice was calm, steady, final. What I was born to do. He raised his wrist console, entering the sequence with practiced hands. The codes glowed across the device, symbols pulsing as if alive. The stars themselves seemed to dim as the Armada responded. Thousands of ships shifted at once, engines roaring like thunder, weapons aligning on the Council fleets. The Titan's voice boomed across all channels. Its AI awakened. Protocol Titan fully engaged, awaiting strike command. The alien council chamber descended into chaos as the Armada loomed over their fleets. Some screamed for immediate surrender. Others demanded to fight to the last ship. The leader's voice cracked with desperation. If we kneel now, every world will kneel to them. Better to die than live under humanity. But deep in the chamber, younger delegates whispered to each other. Better to live than to die for pride. Better to stand with them than against them. The seeds of rebellion against the Council began to spread. On the Zell ship, Kale looked at the silver-skinned officer one last time. His eyes softened for a brief moment. You gave me life, and because of that, the galaxy will never be the same. Her voice shook, and if I hadn't, Kale's expression hardened. Then humanity would have stayed in shadow. Waiting longer? But now, the fleets are awake, and nothing can put them back to sleep. The Titan's weapons reached full power. The Armada locked targets across the sector. The void trembled, caught in the breathless pause before the storm. Kale's finger hovered over the final command. The fate of the Council and perhaps the galaxies rested on one choice. And when the order came, it would unleash the full power of humanity's hidden Armada for the first time in history. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Every fleet, every commander, every living being across the sector watched in silence as Commander Elias Kale hovered over the final command. One word from him, and the hidden Armada of Earth would strike. On the Zell patrol ship, the crew stared at him with wide eyes. The silver-skinned officer whispered, If you press that key, everything changes. Kale's gaze was steady. His voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of centuries. Everything has already changed. He pressed the command. The void erupted. Thousands of human warships roared to life, their weapons firing in perfect unison. The Titan's main cannon unleashed a beam brighter than a star, slicing through the center of the Council's fleet. Entire battle lines vanished in seconds. Missiles streaked like fire across the void, shattering carriers. Railguns punched holes clean through battleships. Human fighters moved like wolves through chaos, tearing apart stragglers with ruthless precision. The Council fleets collapsed. Some tried to fight, but their weapons barely scratched Earth's shields. Others tried to flee, only to be hunted down by swarms of frigates. From the command deck of the Titan, the human admiral's voice thundered across every open channel in the galaxy. One harmed, all harmed. One saved, all answer. This is humanity's law. This is humanity's fleet. On the Zell ship, the crew shook in awe. The captain whispered, We are watching history. The fall of the Council. Kale's face was grim, unflinching. Not history. Justice. The silver-skinned officer trembled. But this is massacre. Kale turned to her, his voice low. Then remember who caused it. The Council thought Earth was weak. They forgot what we are. They forgot what happens when humanity is cornered. He looked back to the screen, where Council dreadnoughts burst like dying stars. His words carried no triumph, only truth. We never forget. We never forgive. The Council chamber was in ruins. Delegates screamed at each other, demanding retreat, surrender, mercy. The leader slammed his staff until it splintered. We are the rulers of this galaxy. We cannot bow to Deathworlders. But even as he shouted, live feeds showed their fleets disintegrating. Hope drained from every delegate's eyes. For the first time in centuries, the Council understood fear, and then another transmission filled the chamber. The human admiral's face appeared again, his eyes cold as stone. Your fleets burn. Your power crumbles. Your lies end today. The galaxy will no longer bow to you. From this day forward, Every world will know if you raise your hand against one of us. You raise it against all of us. His words echoed like thunder, a sentence carved into the stars. Back on the battlefield, the Council fleets broke completely. Some ships surrendered, lowering shields. Others exploded in vain defiance. A few escaped into hyperspace, but they were few, and they carried only fear back with them. The Titan moved forward, leading the Armada through the wreckage. Its colossal shadow passed silently over burning ships, like judgment itself. On the Zell ship, the crew sat in stunned silence. No one cheered. No one moved. The silver-skinned officer finally whispered, "It's over." Kale shook his head. "No, this is only the beginning." She turned toward him, fear in her eyes. "Then what is next?" Kale's face was unreadable. Humanity did not build this armada for defense. These fleets were forged for something greater. Her heart pounded. Greater than this war? He nodded slowly. The Council was never our only enemy. Out there, beyond these stars, lies a threat the galaxy has forgotten. Earth has not. We built these ships for that day. And when it comes, his voice darkened, we will be ready. Across the galaxy, the message spread. Alien worlds watched the Council fall. Younger species, once trembling, now raised banners with Earth's symbol, some out of loyalty, some out of fear. The era of the Council was over. The era of humanity had begun. On the bridge of the Titan, the Admiral stood tall. Around him, the Armada stretched across the stars, endless and unbroken. He raised his hand, and one final broadcast echoed to every corner of the galaxy. Remember this day. Remember who we are. Humanity stands. Humanity strikes. Humanity remembers. The fleets roared in silence, engines blazing like suns, as the Council burned and the galaxy bent beneath humanity's rise. Kale turned his gaze to the stars beyond. The Armada had awakened not for conquest, not for revenge alone, but for the war yet to come. And in the shadows of deep space, far beyond known maps, something vast stirred, waiting.